Hey Algebra 1, I'm going to be going over your notes for slope-intercept form. I'm also going to be including how to do some of the problems on your homework for this weekend on the homework 3.5 slope-intercept form graphing. Okay, so the notes I'm referring to are notes that we started in class, and it's referring to these notes here, but I'm going to go over them in the video both for people that missed it and also people that maybe just need a second chance or a second look at it. Okay, so let's start with the notes first. The equation for slope-intercept form of a line is y equals mx plus b. But what are all these letters? Okay, well the first thing is the m stands for our slope. That's our slope. A lot of you guys have remembered this from middle school. Our b is our y-intercept. That's where it crosses the y-axis. Okay? So we're going to use that equation in order to graph on this coordinate plane here. Okay, so let's start with the actual equation. Okay, so our first equation, or function, is going to be 3 over 4x plus 3. Now we need two things. We got to do this in two steps. Okay, our first step, I'll write those down here at the bottom. Our first step, step 1, is we're going to graph the y-intercept. Okay, so we're going to graph the y-intercept. So first, let's find that. So the y-intercept here is going to be 3. As you can see here, y equals mx plus b. That number on the right, that's our intercept. So our b here, let's write m here, so we have space. Our b is going to be 3. So that's the first thing, the first step, graph the y-intercept. Well, that's on the y-axis, so we go up to 3 and graph the point. Actually, let me use the same color as the equation that I put here. Okay, so 3. The second step, step 2, is going to be graph the slope. Okay, so we'll graph the slope. The slope here in this case, again, numbers are m, or the number next to x, so 3 over 4. And remember, this is the change in y over the change in x. So the number at the top is the change in y, the number at the bottom is the change in x. So if I go over to the graph here, I start at this point, and the change in y, I start with that first, the number on top, and it's positive, so that means I go up 3. So I go up 3. And then the change in x is positive 4, and positive for x is to the right, so right 4. So up 3, right 4, there's my next point. And do it again. Up 3, right 4, until I run out of space on my coordinate plane. Now I want this to be a perfect graph. I want this to be a nice straight line. So what I'm going to do from here is I'm going to go down. I'm going to go basically backwards. I'm going to go the opposite way. So instead of going up 3, I'm going to go down 3. Instead of going right 4, I'll go left 4. And do the same thing again. Down 3, right 4. Okay, until I run out of space. And there we go. I've got as many points as I could graph on this coordinate plane. And then I connect them all with a line. That line's not that great because I would like it to go through the middle of these points, but it's okay. And then put arrows on the end to just show that they go off forever. Don't forget these arrows. Okay? And that's how you graph a line. So now let's do one more example. Let's do one where we have a negative slope. Okay, so now, again, step 1 is graph the y-intercept, so we need to find that. So we'll put m here and b here. So our y-intercept is negative 2. Okay, so let's go ahead and put that on the graph. So positive 3 is up here, that means negative 2 is down here. And now we need to graph our slope. Step 2. The slope is negative 3, but that doesn't tell us everything. I need to know, that tells us the change in y, but I need to know the change in x, like fraction, so I put this over 1. So if it's a whole number like this, put it over 1. Okay? Now, it says negative 3 is our change in y, as you see here. So that means I go down 3. And the change in x is positive 1, so I go right 1. down 3, right 1. And then I want to go in the other way. So instead of going down, I go up 3, and then instead of right, I go left 3. So up 3, left 1, up 3, left 1. That's all I could do. So now I'm going to take my ruler and graph a nice straight line. Okay. And that's how you graph a line. This has a positive slope. This has a negative slope because it's going down. Okay. So now let's look at some problems on your homework. Okay. I'll keep this on the side for reference. Alright, so now, in these first 6 questions, all we're asking you to do is find the slope. Okay, so remember, y equals mx plus b. Let's actually just keep this right here. Okay, so here, number 1, the slope is just that first number right there, 2. And then our y-intercept is the second number to the right, so here it's 4. Okay? Now, some of you guys are going to say, well, what about this one? Okay, well, what's the number in front of x? It's 1, or negative 1. So our slope there is negative 1. Y-intercept is negative 6. And then here, there's a slope of 4 over 3, but then there's no y-intercept. So we're going to put plus 0. So if there's nothing, it's 0. Okay? Now this one, like we talked about in class, if it's y equals, our slope is 0, and the y-intercept is where it crosses the y-axis, so this actually will be a negative 7. You get a number equation where it says y equals, the y-intercept is wherever this number is, okay, or whatever this number is. And again, this means this is a case where we don't have this number or this term. We don't have the mx term, so all we have is the y-intercept instead. Okay. Now let's go down to some of these where we have to graph. So I think let's start with number 17. Okay, so again, identify the slope and the y-intercept first. So slope is negative 3 over 2. Y-intercept is negative 2. Okay, so graph the y-intercept, which is negative 2 down here. And then the slope is negative 3 over 2. Remember, changing y is the one on top. So we go down 3, and then right 2. Down 3, right 2. And then we go up the other direction. Up 3, left 2. Up 3, left 2. Up 3, left 2. Up 3, left 2 one more time. And now we can graph our line. Okay. I apologize. These problems right here, here, and here are actually put here on the back side. It should be for these ones here. So y equals 3x minus 2. And then this one here is negative 1 over 4x plus 5. And then this one is y equals x plus 6. Okay? So now let's check it out. So let's do this one here in the middle. Okay? So the slope, the number next to x, 4. But then there's no intercept here, so that means it's 0. So 0 is our intercept. And remember, if it's a whole number, you need to put it over 1. Okay? So now we go up 4, right 1. Up 4, right 1. And then go the other way. Down 4, left 1. Down 4, left 1. And then draw our line. Okay? So let's flip the page. Okay, now on this back side, how about this one here? Okay, so here, this is a case in your notes. Let me go back to reference the notes real quick. We went over this in class, where you have a line that is y equals some number. If it's y equals a number, you're going to have a flat line like this. And whatever this number is, that's where it crosses the y-axis. Okay? So here, in this case, it's y equals negative 7. So the slope is 0. Okay, because there's no number for slope. And then our y-intercept is negative 7. So I go up to, or down to negative 7. And then I just draw a straight line going all the way across. And that's it. Now if it's x equals a number, This is where the slope is not 0, but it's undefined. And this, again, the y-intercept here, there is no y-intercept. Okay, so there's none. Okay, because when it's x equals, it's a vertical line. It goes up and down. So here I go to 4 on the x-axis, because x equals 4. And then it's a line that goes this direction. Okay? Alright, that's all for the video. If you have any more questions, you can contact me via phone line.